part you've been waiting for. So let's talk about Staging Boost. I know you're going to like it because you've been warned that it's awesome. But I want to talk about why we're doing it. So in the world of, this is your world, but in the world of agents and what's happening, seller convenience is no longer just something you might do or not. It's truly an expectation. So the way this works, and I think this is a little too complicated, so I'll just explain it. Quite literally, if you have a property that needs something, and it can be anything practically in terms of preparation, and we'll get to a list so you can let your mind kind of go through that. You get a hold of me as your Modus guy, and I will submit the listing for you. This is a program we do with a partner. Their name is ZingFix. They're out of Burien, Washington. So they're an independent company. Their business is to be a general contractor helping real estate agents. So literally they're formed of ex-real estate agents, and they understand what they're in business to do. They're very helpful, by the way. I've had a lot of good success. Yeah, and so their customer service is definitely on point, and they work really hard at it. But they've been growing really fast, partly because of working with us, somewhat, of course, on their own merit. But the magic sauce that comes with this. So basically, they contact you within a day. They can do the work. They'll do the bidding process for your client quickly, and that can depend. Some things require site visits, other things do not. The goal is to be able to do the work within 1 week. So 4 to 7 days, that's the target.
Wow.
Now, you can all admit, not all home projects are created equal. So if you need a new roof versus a one room painted, these are very different tasks. And so just be open-minded. The goal is to be quick. Now, they won't mislead you. They'll tell you like how long it'll take, but the goal is to be fast. So the beauty of this program and why you care about using it with Modus is when you elect to do business with them and use Modus to power the deal, the seller can do no money down, interest-free, no payments, all the way through, and then Modus deducts the fees from net proceeds to pay back ZingFix. So quite literally, it's a white glove service. You have to do, let's say, minimal amounts of work. It's not like you're off the hook. We want to communicate through you as the agent to your seller in almost all cases. But you don't have to project manage it, and you basically get to really hold your seller up and say, I know you don't have the money to put on that roof, but if we put that roof on for 12 grand, you're going to get 30 grand back on this house. I can list it for 30 grand more, and that's hypothetical, but we've had real cases like that. So you can do these things very strategically to help your client win with very low stress on them to get it done. So that's the gist of it.
Up to $50,000?
55.
55.
So before I advance to the next slide, what questions do you have? Go ahead.
I have a question. So does this only work with somebody that's got a lot of equity in their home?
They do,
Because
okay.
you can't say, oh, we're going to do all this work for up to 50 grand,
So-
and then at closing they don't have 50 grand of proceeds, right?
That's a great question. Let's dig into that specifically, and I'm glad you brought it up because it was something I was thinking about talking about. Up to $5,000 worth of work, there's no credit check required on the part of the seller. So ZingFix can go, and they just doubled this. It was $2,500 like 2 weeks ago, and now it's $5 grand, which I think they did it mostly for carpet. Because now you can practically carpet an average home, let's say an average home, for less than $5,000, and it was holding back a few opportunities where the credit check was a little low. So if you're over $5,000 worth of work, they look at the equity position of the home, which they do if it's under $5,000. They do always look at the equity position of the home. But over $5 grand, equity position, credit check, 640 is the qualifying score. Now, what's interesting about it is it's not linked to real estate at all. So meaning, they don't care if the home's listed, delisted, it doesn't matter to ZingFix. We didn't know that when we started the program. All they care about is the term. The term is a year. So they give you a year to sell a home interest-free. I mean, that's pretty awesome,
Pretty
right?
awesome, yeah.
They actually doubled that too. It was 6 months when we started, now it's a year. So yes, everyone wants to know, what happens if it goes to a year and I can't sell the home? Well, did you put a lot of effort into selling that home? Does it have the Black Plague? Meaning that'd be terrible. But I'll tell you what happens because it is an honest question.
Sure.
So if you get to a year, the money, they will be able to do an interest-bearing repayment option at that time. This program's less than a year old, so this does not happen. But that's what will happen if it goes, and it cannot be sold. Or if they just change their mind.
Right.
What if they just change their mind? They'll still owe the money after a year.
And are they doing the work at competitive rates?
They are, and I'll talk about that briefly because I want to tell a story that better illustrates that. So this is the gist of what it looks like, and the reason that landscaping and home cleaning are just kind of floating up there, these are the most common services used. So they have a lot of resources, and oh, before I forget, this is only available in King, Snohomish, and Pierce counties, and when it's Snohomish, they really want it to be western Snohomish. Now, that being said, always ask, always ask. We've even found ways for them to do some deals outside of their target area, but it depends is the answer. So if it's King or Pierce, I've never had them not be able to do anything. So those are okay.
So
Snohomish,
location
a
can
little
be a
bit
problem.
more, but then you can even get outside of those. Like we've had a couple roofs done in Thurston County. So, but it's not officially in their service area. Now they're trying to increase their service area. So we might be looking at, they're already experimenting with that, but that's their business, not my business. So until I'm told, yes, we do Thurston County, I just say be careful for them. So the only way that an appliance can be updated is if it's in disrepair. So if you have a broken appliance, that is a little different, but don't think about that too much. Let that happen naturally. Otherwise, it's pretty much anything you can think of.
So they'll put in new cabinets?
Yes.
Wow.
Kitchens are an obvious target for this. So if you have a kitchen that hasn't been updated since 1990, which comes up all the time, this is the place where, that's where they wanted appliances. I'm like, no, they can't do that, but they can really spruce the kitchen up. Floors, cabinets, countertops, sinks, all that. That's all
I so
possible.
wish I'd met you just a few weeks ago.
But you're meeting me now.
Short, yeah.
So can a homeowner use their own contractors, or do they have to use a?
And I'll tell you why. So Compass's program allows them to be extraordinarily reckless. And I'm not saying that to say it's bad necessarily, but what I mean is there are no controls. So if you're a Compass agent and your brother-in-law happens to be a plumber, you could give him every job you have. What if he's a terrible plumber? So, and this is what I'm getting at. So it doesn't mean that it's leading to bad deals, but in the ZingFix model, they have the pool of all the contract providers and they control the quality because they're working with these people all the time. So everybody's licensed, bonded, but also vetted. And so you're gonna get a better end result. Now, if you have a partner that you love, you can introduce them to ZingFix. And if they get added to the program, they'll be available.
And
So
they'll
think
probably
of it
have
more
to
like that.
grow. I mean, as they get bigger, they're gonna need more.
Yeah, definitely. And I
people,
think
so
they're
that
always
makes
looking
sense.
for partners, but again, that's not my business. I'm just their partner, so
Right, yeah.
I don't like to put words in their mouth. But I see their growth.
Right.
I'm watching them growing,
Yeah.
and they will be adding anything they need to in the process. So,
So
yes.
who develops the checklist? Is it the seller that's doing the checklist?
What kind of
Or-
checklist?
Well,
Of tasks?
what are those, yeah.
Are you talking about the types of things, or just
Yeah.
if you go into a single thing?
How do I know if they need electrical work, I guess?
Oh,
Or where are we
no,
coming
that's,
up with that list?
you're mixing up two things in my mind, and what I was gonna get to, and I'll skip to it. If you have an inspection, so now you're in contract, you already have PSA, you're in contract, and then the inspector shows up and goes, whoa, we need to fix this, it needs insulation, this is broken, then you can also use the program then.
Oh, well.
If you're with
Well,
us.
I'm going
So-
back,
so-
I'm just listing it now.
Yeah. So, but just know that it can be an insurance policy, so you don't even have to use it ahead of time. You can, I have a lot of customers where they're like, no, don't need anything, house is great, looks great. So then we're powering their escrow deal, and then they get to inspection, then like frantic call, oh my God, we need to do a water line and this and that. I'm like, it's okay, we can do it. And so ZingFix doesn't care at what point you're at, it doesn't matter.
Nice.
So the checklist, that's why I wanted to dig into that a little more. You're kind of working with the homeowner to decide what'll be the most bang for their buck, right? And it's even, you can game this a little bit. So, and I want to be careful with how I tell you guys this in a room full of agents looking to go make deals, but we're not trying to do renovations. This isn't a massive flip thing. However, the smartest agents are thinking along those lines. So if you're catching things where you know you're going to add 107% if you do this, or 110% if you do that, might be worth a conversation. So that's why I say repairs or updates. But 55 grand is the total cap. No one's even hit that. I mean, no one's probably even come close. When you do a roof, that's the most, biggest single item that usually starts attacking that number. But even that's, I don't think we've had a roof over 15,000.
I just did one for 22K.
How big was the house?
Mill Creek.
Okay. So meaning we may have not have done one that big.
No,
yet.
but it wasn't John. I didn't know you
Yes.
back then.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of answer Teresa's question. We're currently using Steve right now at a place over in Bothell, and it's my client's mom's hoarder house that she's moved out of and that we're trying to get
Yes.
through. And initially it's like, okay, we just need to A, clean it out, B, put new carpet, C, paint it, and then we can kind of present it a little bit, cleaner, better, nicer. Well, they came out to do the estimates, and their bids were very reasonable, and so it's like, okay, so we're gonna paint the inside and maybe paint the outside and maybe do some curb appeal and fix the tree that's zip tied to the deck and pressure wash the
Think of all
deck,
that.
and, just so she took other things and she's like, okay, we're gonna do this, and the total bid was extremely reasonable, and she's like, let's get it done, and it'll be done in a couple
So
weeks.
she came from Fix, like?
No, my client, she.
She,
And
okay.
so my client, was walking around with the guy doing all,
So this is an
measurements and
estate.
estimates.
This would work really well for a state.
Yeah, and so
Unless it's in a funny legal state, so meaning there can be a problem when you get into those. So it has to be like if it's in a trust or something like that, there can be some ramifications from that. So just be aware of that, just because you brought that up. Usually this is for true residential resale. It's not for something more exotic.
Oh, I was
but
talking about
always
like
ask.
someone has passed.
Yeah, always ask. We have one right now that's in that state and it's being managed. I wanted to tell the story about price because I think what we all unintentionally do, and I mean every one of us, is we always start thinking about great deals. And it has to be the best deal. And I want to explain how that looks in the ZingFix world, only to prepare you for what could happen. Doesn't mean it will. They always try to give you a competitive bid, for sure. But you can kind of screw this up unintentionally if you start trying to do a bidding war. So if you bring in like 2 other contractors on your own that aren't in their network, then they show up, they're not even aware that you're doing this, you can create a problem unintentionally. So let me tell you the story. So the story is a John L. Scott agent who was using this program early on, and I heard the story actually from him, so this isn't third hand. He had an independent bid done for some kitchen project. The bid was $5,000. ZingFix showed up and gave their identical bid. It was $5,800, $800 more. However, and this is what I want you guys to hear, the independent contractor that wasn't affiliated with ZingFix was 6 weeks out. ZingFix could start in 3 days. They got the bid. They won. So I want you to kind of weigh cost with convenience. That's the only reason I tell the story. Don't expect them to be the price leader every single time, but you should always get a competitive rate. So your story was great because they felt good about what they were paying and everything was fine, but you can kind of lopside this against them if you, like unintentionally, if you really try.
Christy,
Sure.
I have a question.
Right.
So,
what's your time?
Yep.
sorry.
No problem. Go
So
ahead.
you have to have the house listing agreement already signed?
You don't.
You don't?
Where that works, we set you up with ZingFix ahead of time, just like the preliminary title. It's only when they sign, your seller signs, meaning then they've given you the listing, obviously. So you don't have to have it. We don't care about the listing agreement, we care about PSA. Because at that point, we're assigning you to a closing team. So until they sign their dotted line that they want the repairs done, there's nothing that's binding you, to working with them or us.
One more thing, can I add?
Of course.
Which is applying to my situation. I had initially gone in with my client and said, tell you what, you empty it out, you clean it, I will cover the carpet, shampoo, a house cleaner, and we'll bring in my own staging as a complimentary service, from me to help, because she's a longtime friend, and instead of reducing my rates, I'm like, I'm gonna do all these things for you to help you get your house ready. Well, now if we go through ZingFix to get this all done, part of it can be the house cleaning, the carpet's gonna be replaced, you know, the staging, they can bring in some really nice stuff. I can actually have that done and they can, have it taken out of my commissions
Yep.
at closing, so I don't have to pay for it up front.
Wow.
I can still honor my word, get the cleaning taken
Yep.
care of, and actually not have to deal with bringing my own staging stuff down if I wanted just to have it all, you know, done really tip top and get her top dollar, you know, back, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. So it is flexible enough. Remember, Modus only tracks the flow of the money and releases it. We do not profit from staging boost at all. We make nothing. We just track the money and then release where it needs to go to seller, to agent, to ZingFix at the end. That's all we do. It's
How
like
does
this.
ZingFix make money off of this? You say it's interest
Wholesale
free.
to retail markup. They have this large group of contractors. They're getting preferred rates per hour from them. They mark it up to what you consider a retail level. That's
Okay.
the only place money is made.
So it's just a markup.
It's just a markup that you never see.
like a contract,
It's,
10%.
you'll never see it because the bid is the bid, but they're getting a slightly better rate to be able to stand up to these other threats. So I know I'm out of time. I'm leaving you guys with lots of information. I'll have to prepare it because it's over there, but I will give it all to you. The transparency is the most important thing here. There's no hidden fees, costs. Literally, you're just repaying what's spent on the contract work. I told you about the using it as an insurance policy against inspection. This is so powerful that people are trying to get me to flip deals to them that are not using Modus. So meaning they remember this when I talk to them and they're like, oh, I'm in a transaction with one of your competitors and we just had the inspection. Can you take it over? And you know, technically, yes, but we don't do that. We don't chase that business. That's not an ethical practice. We're not trying to do that. So when someone's throwing it to us, like you can save this deal, you would have to then get an addendum made to PSA to put Modus in to replace whoever it was. So yes, you can do it, but we're not looking for those deals. We'd rather you partner with us from the get-go, avoid that. So to use this, now this is the part I want you to know about. I have some feedback forms. I would greatly appreciate if you could fill them out if you have time. And if you have any listings coming that you would like to use the service on, just leave me the address. In each case, I will follow up with you privately. I'm not just gonna go and do something without talking to you, but it's the best indicator you can give me. And if you have anything coming in the next, let's just say 3 months, it qualifies. We run stuff that early to get it in, so that's okay. Any other questions? You guys have been great. So thank you for your time and attention. Does anyone have anything else before we conclude?
So does this work if you're working with a buyer too? Can you use-
Yes, and the smartest agents, and I love to use that term because it's fun, will actually see the power of this to help save a deal later. And so some of our most intelligent agents, when it comes to using this program, like they have seasoned proof of what it does, they'll approach the listing agent and they'll go, you know what, if you guys use Modus, we can actually have staging boosts set aside for you. And if we get to inspection, you know, you can use it up front, but if we get to inspection, they can actually help save the deal. So people have actually done that on their own, not me, you know, telling them you should do that. And so of course we really appreciate that.
Just write your PSA to say the title.
Yeah,
company.
and Modus, you know, you get all the security features. You know, yes, we want you to like Staging Boost, but we actually want you to love us for what we do. We'll continue to come out with new innovative services. There's one launching next month, actually. And everything we do is geared to help make you look better. So, and I mean, I'm very honest about that. We're coming up with stuff that hasn't been
Pass
done
around
before.
some of the
I
stuff.
don't understand Teresa's question. How would?
From the
what
buy
would
side,
happen?
if you didn't have the ability to dictate who was doing escrow on a deal, but it would be a creative way to write in
I thought it
Modus
was
if
on
you
the
could
table
kind of
there.
talk
No,
about
that's
some of
not.
these things. So effectively, you're selling Modus from the
Sorry.
buy side, whereas we're usually talking to the listing agents.
But we,
So for example, if I'm writing up a purchase and sale agreement, I put Modus down there as the title,
Yep,
an escrow company.
yep,
And the house needs new carpet. And
Yeah.
my clients want new carpet.
yeah, no, you can absolutely lead with that and say, hey, I heard they have Staging Boost, which I know the name is bad, believe me, but we launched it and now we live with it. It's like home preparation boost. Staging, yes, it does include home staging. And let me be very honest about home staging. Their home staging is a bit more expensive than most other like professionals that you have in your network, but they're amazing. So meaning you're paying for quality, but you're not gonna get like the most amazing rate you've ever seen. I've got that feedback a few times, so I don't wanna hide it from you. I don't want you to
Okay,
be
and
disappointed.
then further down the road with that story, let's say the carpet bid comes in at 3,000, and the seller said, well, I'll pay half, and then it could be a line item for
Yeah.
buyer, right?
And sometimes, and I'll be honest about this too, sometimes people will present this and it'll actually force the seller to just make a concession right away when they see the dollars, and then they'll avoid doing it. So that does happen, meaning you don't always do staging boost. Even when you present it, they may elect to just cut a deal and say, okay, we'll take $5,000 off. We've seen that quite a few times. But we want you to have the options. So meaning you've given them the choice to say you can do this or you can do that. Let's talk about it.
Well, carpet is
So if
an
I've got an
option anyway,
FHA buyer that I'm going in, let's say the house needs $30,000 worth of work.
Okay.
What if they can't qualify for that extra $30,000? How does that work? They have to qualify for the extra $30,000.
Well, in that case, they'd be looking at the equity position of the home, right? So meaning, yeah, they would have to have enough equity. If you had someone who owned a house for a year, they probably wouldn't be in that spot unless you had a great year, you know. in the
No, I mean if
market.
they're going in to buy something.
Yeah, and the credit check is also something to keep in mind strategically if they need to buy. That's why I wanted you to know up to $5,000, no credit check. Now it's not a hard, it's a hard pull, but it's the same kind of credit check you would get if you were signing up for something. It could be a little more invasive, but I definitely want you to know about it for your seller's point of view if they're looking to buy and they haven't got to that point yet.
And also, you were saying that they have offices in Seattle and Everett, but they do remote signings.
Yes, I tried to make that clear, but you can always have a remote signing no matter what side of the transaction you're on and it's included. You don't pay extra for it.
Okay.
So you get one free.
We're at 12:20.
Yeah, I knew that would happen. So apologies for the time. I'll give you the forms, I'll give you the brochures, my card. Please let me know if I can be of service, because that's all I ever want to be is just of great service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have, you said you do have brochures to pass around?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
I will cook that.